Good morning, welcome to News Express. Thank you for joining us today. Today we'll be looking at the possible invasion of Niger Republic and the implications for Nigeria. Tensions rise after Niamey pushed back envoys from Nigeria, Togo, France and the US, and diplomatic solutions in Niger now look unlikely. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has sought parliamentary approval to place sanctions on the Republic of Niger and mobilize the military for a possible intervention should the junta not respond to the conditions sought by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. As the event unfolds, there are concerns over what a military action in Niger Republic will do to Nigeria's reputation and foreign policy, with some expressing worry about potential risks associated with the decision. We will be speaking with Mr. Tony Nwachukwu, a public affairs analyst who has been following developments in Niger Republic. What is the implication of military intervention in Niger Republic for Nigeria and Nigerians, and of course, by extension, the West African sub-region? We're live right now. This is News Express.
How do you explain the cause of the military coup in Niger? The cause is simple. The cause is that the constitution of Niger was changed. Somebody had a first term, that is at the outset, the president has a first term, has a second term, and then changed the constitution to suit his own personal interest, which is that you contest the election in Niger as long as you're electable. And that's what the military guys are reacting to. And somebody doesn't want to see that. And Nigeria administration doesn't want to see that, probably for obvious cheap political gain.
What cheap political gain do you think that Nigeria could have, in involving in this Niger quagmire?
The political gain is that if the nation is at war, if the nation goes to war now, because once there's a military invasion, nation to nation, army to army, navy to navy, fireworks will begin to be exchanged, petrol will begin to rise, and more people will be recruited into our army, into our air force, into our navy, and the rest of them, because it's going to be a show of force. And once the nation is at war, your constitution, which is Nigerian constitution, states that every other thing halts. For instance, there is ongoing judicial election petition tribunals trials for the concluded or like head election, and this could also affect it. To go to war in Niger could also affect the decision of the tribunals. It could also run the tribunals out of time. If the country Nigeria is at war with the allies in Niger, you don't know how long that war may last. One. Two, how it affects the electoral system or the electoral petition tribunal operation. It's simple. It's simple in the sense that this president cannot be at war and he's being tried for election malfunctions, or he's facing an election tribunal that may oust him or may not oust him. The language you'll be hearing then is that the president, like it happened in Ukraine, Zelensky's tenure has so much so been overdue. Zelensky simply invoked the martial law, and that's why Zelensky is still there. So this president going to war will be, the cost effect to the tribunal trials will be enormous. It will suspend the cases. It will time out the tribunal's period of operation. Definitely it will time it out, because these tribunals are scheduled. They are scheduled to operate from one day to any other time that they must dispense with the matters they have. There's a time limit to their operation. So why go to war?
So you are saying, in clear terms, that there's a possibility that the reason why the Nigerian president is trying to move on with this war is because he would want to stay longer. He would want to suspend the constitution of some sort. If we're engaging in the Niger war, then it means that he would have to stay over in order to see out the war. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely, he may not suspend the constitution, but he may suspend part of constitutional establishment. In this instance, the election petition tribunals, because these tribunals, as I've stated before, have a time limit. The Tribunal of First Instance, and then for the presidential election, Tribunal of First Instance, which is the appeal tribunal, and then Supreme Court subsequently, may not continue. I don't see both sides continuing with their trial while the nation is at war. Definitely, you know what is going on in the National Assembly, and you know the kind of National Assembly that we have. It is an APC controlled. Don't forget that in this country, that the National Assembly of Nigeria sometimes had the inability of late Yar'Adua to continue with administrative operations. They invoked what we call the law of necessity. So the same National Assembly is there, and then you have majority of members as APC members. So too many things will still happen. But they may invoke things you may not like. Definitely they will do that. So rather than destroy our internal operational system, now let us behave like other nations. We should behave like other nations. We are not too much in the know than United States of America. We are not too much in the know than France, than Germany, than Belgium, all these nations that have their very prominent presence in Niger. What they are calling up, the shots they are calling, is just at diplomatic level, stopping aid. We have cut off their lights. If there is any other aid that we give to them, we can withhold it and say, when you restore your democratic process, good and fine. You cannot tell Nigerians how to govern themselves. You must not force. Nigeria cannot suddenly be a colonial pusher. You are using some other ECOWAS state, big brother, and we go waste our money when there is an tsunami inflation in Nigeria. Which government will want to think about that? Which government will want to think about pushing its hard-earned resources while its citizens is dying, and the same government wants to create further pain for the citizens? So for me, it is a deliberate move by the APC-led federal government to throw Nigerians into further quagmire and then disrupt the election petitions that is ongoing across the country. And then the presidential election petition that is a trial that is ongoing, of which the judgment is very close in the Tribunal of First Instance, which is the appeal tribunal. So why go to war against Niger? Niger is not Nigerian land. We are not their colonial master. France is their colonial master. If the France could stay away from Niger, why would Nigeria want to go to war against Niger? All because they want to restore their friends. And let me tell you, these military coups are following up in quick succession across West Africa. So leaders have to be very careful. George Weah, the president of Liberia, just yesterday made a release. His position is, as long as corruption thrives, as long as election results are manipulated, as long as our leaders are not interested in developing our environment, our economics within our environment, as long as we are not able to guarantee security for citizens, then there will be queues.